Hey, everybody. Let's go ahead and reset this up. My name is mkosler. Today I'm going to be running Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, any percent no EG. I'll explain a little bit more about what that means as I go through the run. But I'm ready when everybody else is, so just give me a go ahead and I'll give us a countdown. All right, so we're going to go on go. So 3, 2, 1, go. So in the Link to the Past community, we typically categorize our speedruns under one or two, I guess you can call them rule sets. If you've ever played this game casually, if you ever participated in like the weekly randomizers, maybe you caught a random speedrun on Twitch, it was probably under what we call the no major glitches, or NMG, rule set. And those runs were typically trying to beat the game pretty close to how the developers intended. Those aren't fully glitchless runs, but they we're not allowed to go like out of bounds or skip otherwise required dungeons. The other rule set, which is what this run is under, is called major glitches. This game's been out for around 30 years. We've had thousands of different eyes looking at it, and we found plenty of different ways to break it pretty wide open. The glitches that we found allow us to do all sorts of fun runs, like reverse boss order runs or all dungeons swordless. But the most popular category in the major glitches rule set is actually the incentive category that y'all wonderfully donated for. Thanks once again for getting it in. It's any percent. Sometimes people call it true any percent because there's quite a number of any percents in this game. And to give a little perspective, so the world record for true any percent would have already been done by now. It's 1 minute and 31 seconds. And the reason that it's able to go so fast is there's a particularly powerful major glitch called the exploration glitch. I don't run that many EG categories myself, so I kind of just have a layman's understanding of it. But essentially, how the exploration glitch works is every room in the underworld, and we can define the underworld as like all of Hyrule Castle, all the caves, all the dungeon interiors in both the light and the dark world. Every one of those rooms has layers, and you can think of layers, when I get into this next room, you can think of layers as I'm on the bottom layer here, and I walked up to the top layer there. Similar, I'm on the top and I walked to the bottom. But every room has layers, whether I can get on them in normal play or not. And if you can trick the game into putting you onto a layer that you're not supposed to be on, then you can do all sorts of really fun things. Let me kill this guy first. You can do all sorts of really fun things, like walk within the walls of a room, but more importantly, you can walk to screen transitions that don't normally exist. And because all of the underworld is sort of just located next to each other in memory on kind of like a 2D map, when you hit those screen transitions, it can sometimes take you to a location that is not logically connected in the game world. And so the true any percent category abuses that fact. So you're essentially walking from your house directly to the end of the game. It's a really short but interesting category in that it shows a lot of how this game can be broken. But the exploration glitch is so powerful that it's often hard to justify using the myriad of other major glitches that we have in the game when you can just exploration glitch wherever you really want to. So a lot of major glitch categories, you basically have two different options. You can jam-pack your run with a bunch of different goals. So like I talked about the reverse boss order run. Eventually there'll be some instances where you can use other glitches that are faster than doing all the setup you might need to do the exploration glitch. But a lot of categories actually explicitly ban specific glitches, and most often it's the exploration glitch. And so that's one of the categories that I'm running today. It's still an 80% run. I'm still trying to beat the game as fast as possible. I'm just not allowed to use the exploration glitch when doing so. So to put this run into perspective, the world record for it is 26 minutes and 50 seconds. So not nearly as fast as the true 80% category, but about a third to a fourth of the amount of time it would take to do an 80% NMG run. One thing we have to deal with in this category is the rain that you saw at the very beginning of the game. At the start, there are these guards that are blocking your path from going too much further than just to Hyrule Castle. And while it's pretty easy to use major glitches to get around those guards, the game doesn't quite work the way we hope when we're in what we call the rain state. And because we also want to pick up the boomerang and the lamp for later in the run, really our best way to get rid of the rain state is to just beat the escape sequence like you would in a normal run, which is what we just did. Rescue Zelda, and now the rain's gone. The main goal of the run, obviously, is to beat the game. But how we do it is we go into Ganon's Tower, climb it, kind of like what you do at the end of a casual run. And using major glitches, I can technically get inside Ganon's Tower right now if I really, really wanted to. But I wouldn't be able to go that far. So I like to think of the time between rescuing Zelda and getting the rain, getting rid of the rain, and getting into Ganon's Tower is just a series of shopping trips to get all the items that we're going to need in order to actually make it through the tower. And so our first shopping trip is similar to what you see in other runs. We're going to go to Eastern Palace. And this is actually going to be the example of the first major glitch we have in this run. We call it the Eastern Palace clip. Some people call it the citrus clip. I go over to this slope. Slopes are pretty busted in this game. If I can actually do it right. Good Lord. Keep on getting to the right spot, and then I bail out of it. Wow. I'll give it one more try, and then I'll go take the other route. Yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate. So, that glitch is an optional glitch. It really only saves you about 7 seconds if you do it the first try. What you're trying to do is you're trying to do a clip into that slope so that you can teleport right up to where the Eastern Palace entrance is. Had a little bit of an issue there. Don't want to waste too much more time, so we'll just go up like you would in a normal run. As far as the route goes, the reason that we're coming into Eastern Palace like this is we need to pick up 2 things while we're in here. We need to get the bow. That's going to help us kill some specific enemies in Ganon's Tower that can only be hurt by the bow and arrow. Additionally, while we're here, we go ahead and finish this dungeon so that we can pick up the boots afterward, because there's a pretty specific or there's a gap at the very top of Ganon's tower that we would otherwise have to go get the hook shot in order to make it across. But we're going to use a trick with the boots in order to make it across that gap. And I'll talk a lot more about that trick as we get closer, which isn't for a little while. We're coming up onto a little minor glitch that you can see in a lot of different runs. It's called the, I guess, Eastern Palace damage boost. Normally we'd have to defeat all the enemies in this room in order for those anti-fairies to go away so that we can get to that switch. But if we take a damage boost, we can use the iframes from the damage boost to lift the pot and walk around, or walk directly into the floor switch and skip the whole puzzle, I guess you'd call it. There's actually been, relatively recently, discovery of a couple of new glitches, I'd say within the past 6 months or so, where you can do, that have led to some other possible routes for this category. I'm still running the world record route, but these new routes can potentially save, I don't know, anywhere from 40 seconds to, I don't think anybody's actually timed out the other route. Both of them don't take you to Eastern Palace at all. So you end up having to do bootsless clips all throughout your run, which are a lot more difficult. As well, for one of the routes, you have to go up and get the hook shot to get across, because you need some way to get across that gap. I do get to show off the Armos Knight's quick kill, since we do go into Eastern Palace. How that fight works is there's two phases to it. The first is sort of that synchronized dance phase that you saw right there. The second, when there's only one Armos Knight remaining, what the game would normally do is put it into an enraged state, where he turns red, full heals himself, and starts trying to stomp directly on you. But if you set it up like we did at the very beginning, so the last two Armos Knights die in quick succession, one after the other, then the game never has enough time to put it into the second phase with the enraged state. So we skip that entirely. So now we talk to our buddy Sahasrara. He's going to give us our Pegasus boots. There's one other thing that we're going to get while we're here. We break open this back wall, and from this middle chest, we're going to get some bombs. So far, it's been pretty major glitch light. Well, it's been completely major glitch light because I wasn't able to do that other clip. But it's going to get pretty major glitch heavy from this point out. We start by heading back to the Sanctuary and picking up that chest we skipped earlier. We call that the Sanctuary Heart. It's the only heart in this game that full heals you when you pick it up. And it's actually the last heart container we're going to get in this entire run. My next bit of shopping is going to take me on top of Death Mountain. So how I do that is I do a clip called a DMA, or Death Mountain Ascent. I do a boots clip into that slope, followed by a downward teleport, and then walk to the screen transition. And that gets me on top of Death Mountain. I then fix the camera so that I can get to that little spot where the exit to this cave that this old man is lost in was. I could have tried to sort of blindly made my way up to where that cave was without fixing the camera. But if you do that and the cave entrance isn't on the screen when you go through it, it takes so long to load, it almost looks like the game hard locks. So it's in our best interest to just fix the camera. There's a bunch of different DMAs that you can do. The one that I did is probably the most popular because it puts you next to this old man. And he gives us our next item we were looking for, the mirror. Additionally, now we have, whenever we save and quit and reload our file, we have a new spawn point that's on top of Death Mountain. And we're going to be returning to Death Mountain frequently. While I've been talking about that, I did a trick called a super speed. Allows me to go at dash speed in all directions. Our next bit of shopping is inside the Palace of Darkness, which is the first dungeon in the Dark World. So how am I going to get there? Well, I'm already there, actually. I just did a clip we call the Kiki skip, because you don't have to pay Kiki the monkey in order to get in the pod. How that worked is that cave that I was in with those mini mold arms is actually connected. Remember how I talked about the underworld map, all connected in memory? It's actually connected to a room in the Palace of Darkness. Because we entered in through that cave, it looks all funky because we're using the cave tile set. I also don't have to pick up any keys in order to get through here, and none of the enemies have spawned. So I can take my sweet time doing this hammer jump. Just like that. And we got our hammer, and we're already done with our trip to pod. Go for it.
Awesome. So we have a $20 donation from Cat and Mike. Great job, John. We have a $60 donation from Happy Shaz. Great job, Logic, and good luck, mkosler. We have a $75 donation from Electronic Logic. Thanks for a great event. I had a blast. Can't wait until next time. We have a $74 donation from G-Virus. Thank you for everything, Logic. You will always be welcome at NoReset. We are blessed to have such an amazing family of runners and viewers, and I can't express the full extent of my gratitude to everyone here. This is a project that grew beyond anything I could have imagined, and it's thanks to all of you. And then I have one last one from DD Gamings for $7.20. As promised, $1 per 10 deaths. Good job to all the runners who already finished their runs, and good luck to mkosler and Acidics for their upcoming run. You guys are all amazing. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been donating. It's for a great cause. We really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, everybody, for donating. It sounds like a great charity to donate for. While all that was going on, I did another major glitch we call a Death Mountain descent. It got me off of Death Mountain because our next bit of shopping requires us to be off of Death Mountain in the Dark World because we need to rescue that frog. The game expects me to have the Titan's mitts in order to lift these rocks that are pinning this frog in. You'd think that a frog would just be able to jump down, but whatever. But I don't want to take the time to go get the Titan's mitts, and I'm still this helpless bunny, so I can't even really lift the rocks should I have the Titan's mitts. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to do a major glitch called a mirror jump. So right now I've just been setting myself up to the right position. A little early. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to fall off of the ledge. But for the very first frame as I'm falling, I can still use whatever items in my item slot. In this case, it's the mirror. Still early. And if I do so, it stops me from falling, but I've still already gone one frame into my fall. So I'll move just enough to be able to get around these rocks. And what I'm looking for is there's a specific frame on this frog's jump cycle that's supposed to be my cue. It's actually 2 frames in a row. One's a little early, one's the right one. So you kind of are just hoping to get it right. Still early. It's way better to be early than late. If I'm late, then I fall off of the ledge, and I have to reset up my position. There we go. So if you're looking at the bunny, you moved barely to the left. And you can kind of see that my shield is a little further to the left. So now all I have to do is hold up, and I can just walk right past those rocks. Once we talk to that frog, did we not talk to the frog? Where's the frog? I'm gonna hang out over here. Okay, he's following me. That's literally never happened to me before. Okay, there we go. Good Lord. We talked to that frog. Turns out he's the lost dwarven blacksmith. And if we take him to his shop, just to the east of Kakariko Village, then for the low price of 10 rupees, he'll be able to upgrade our sword directly from the fighter sword to the tempered sword, which is how I'm going to actually be able to hurt Ganon. We do have to do this little back and forth in order to get the sword upgraded. It's supposed to take some time. They say, we got to take the sword from you, and it's supposed to be like, oh, you wander around for a bit without the sword. All that means is we have to just leave the screen and come back, and they'll have upgraded our sword. And that's actually the last bit of shopping that we're going to do in this entire run. So now it's time to actually get into Ganon's Tower. And it's going to look a lot like what I did for the DMD, though I didn't get to talk about it. We start out with what we call a Heraclip. That gets me to the top of Death Mountain. I then go into the Dark World portal that's just south of it. But instead of going to the left, I'm going to go down. And this is going to kind of fix the camera, so I'm at least looking in the same area that Link is in. It's still a little glitchy, and you'll be able to see that in a second. I do a boots clip into this slope, and then I walk back out a little bit, and the mirror portal is right there, and I just hit it, but you couldn't see it, because like I said, the camera's still a little glitchy. From there, I jump off of that ledge, and the door to Ganon's Tower is actually always open. It's just there's like this wall that's blocking you, and it makes you have to get all the 7 crystals, all the 7 Dark World crystals in order to get through. But if you can just sort of land on that, on those stairs that are behind the wall, then you can just waltz right in. And so what that clip did was that wrapped me around from the bottom of the screen back to the top of the screen, and I just landed on there. We were still this helpless bunny when we were inside, because we've never gotten the Moon Pearl yet. But you can get rid of your bunny state inside of a dungeon by just getting yourself killed, which is what we did. And now we can move on. I'm obviously a little under-equipped compared to what you would expect in Ganon's Tower. But that's not going to really stop us. We're just going to do some bonks to make it over these gaps instead of use the hook shot. Here I'm going to stand where this blue peg is going to lift. That's going to give me iframes so that I can just walk right through those spike blocks. Here, you would normally have to use the hook shot to make it across this gap, but we're going to skip that with just a bomb jump. Yeah, I go through a couple portals in this this portal maze. I don't actually want to land in this last portal, so we can do a bonk to just bounce right over it. Here, I do want to make it to this chest right over here, but I don't want to take too much time waiting for that anti-fairy to leave. Well, we can time it out so that we can get to that chest and blow up the floor without taking any damage. In Ganon's Tower, you have to refight all the Light Roar bosses. So here's the Armless Knights again. You can do a very similar quick kill to what we did before. So there's our big key. We're also going to pick up this left chest for some extra arrows, because we're going to need them as we climb. A lot of the enemies, as we're climbing, can do anything from 2 to 4 hearts of damage. And I obviously don't have that much health to give. So I'm going to take it pretty slow, considering we're in a marathon. These next 2 rooms are the sole reason that we needed to get the bow and arrow. Because those guys are invulnerable to everything other. These next 5 rooms, we call it the Gauntlet, because you have to kill each enemy in each room in order to proceed to the next one. I'm going to pick up that heart. I do have to kind of play around with these BMOs. This room can be a pain, depending on what that Stalfos does, but he decided to be very, very friendly to us this time. If that laser beam is on the screen, then we get a lot of lag as we go through the door. We actually hang out in this room because that causes all these landmola to spawn at the same time, so that we can get in a very easy triple spin. This upcoming room, you would normally use the Cane of Samaria to make it very trivial. We obviously don't have the Cane of Samaria, so we're going to have to do a different strategy. Those Wizrobes actually can do 4 hearts of damage to me. So while you can do a 1 cycle of this next room, or this room that I'm in right now, just to play it safe, I'm going to do the 2 cycle version. In this room, I'm actually going to get this heart, and because I'm getting this heart, I'm going to hang out for just a little bit. There's actually a bug where if you go up those stairs the same time that chime happens, then you can despawn the entire tower, and you have to reset to the bottom of the tower. We're actually about to that gap that I was talking about earlier. Because we don't have the hook shot, we have to use some other method to get across this gap. And what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called a hover. And it's a pretty tough trick, so give me a second. Awesome. So how a hover works is you're essentially tricking the game into starting up a new dash animation over and over and over again. And it won't let you fall while you're doing that. Then you give yourself a single frame between each of those dashes in order to move in the actual direction that you're looking for. So we're at the top of the tower. It's time to fight Aghanim. But if you've ever played this game before, this isn't the Aghanim fight that you would expect in GT. Because we never got the Moon Pearl, because we never killed Aghanim in the Light World, because we had to die in order to get rid of our bunny state, when we get to the top of the tower, we have to fight the first version of Aghanim in all of his RNG glory. He takes 6 hits to kill him. He gives us 4 shots per lightning phase. The first shot is always reflectable. The second, third, and fourth is a coin flip between a reflectable shot and what we call blue balls, which are those, and loses 6 seconds, and there's nothing we can do about it. If you get 3, 7, 11, and 15 total blue balls, then you get an additional lightning phase. So I think we're on 3 or 4. So this is 1 extra lightning phase, and I'll know whether it was 3 or 4 based on this hit. So it was 3. So we're done with the fight. It's time to actually fight Ganon. In this category in particular, Ganon is a very, very scary fight. So I'm going to concentrate on the fight for the first 2 phases, then I'll talk about what happened. Awesome. So the first 2 phases, it requires 12 hits with the Tempered Sword in order to get through. You can do both of those 2 phases in 1 cycle. We call that the 1-in-1. Phase 3, you just have to hit them enough times so that all the tiles surrounding the room fall away. Phase 4 starts out, and we do a glitch called the torch glitch. Ganon can only be hurt when both torches are lit. And if you light the left torch before the right torch goes out, then the right torch will never go out, and you only ever have to worry about the left torch. Actually hurting Ganon during this phase, as I am, is a glitch in itself. He's supposed to be invulnerable to everything other than the silver arrows, but there's actually a very small window as he's teleporting from one location to another, where we can hit him with our sword. For the Tempered Sword, it takes 12 hits to kill him. And I think we're on our 12th right here. Thank you. And so we're not at time yet. It'll be when we go through this door after this fanfare. Time. So, had I not spent a billion years on that first glitch, I guess I did screw up mirror jump a bunch, but it was an okay run. First try hover, so that's cool. I want to talk a little bit about why that Ganon fight's scary in this category in particular. Normally, well, one, all those fire bats during the first 2 phases deal 4 hearts of damage to you if you get hit by him. Same with his trident. If you touch Ganon, it deals 8 hearts of damage to you, so you just insta-gibbed. But most other categories, if you die to Ganon, you're really only losing however much time it took, however far into the fight you were, plus maybe like 10 seconds or so. Because you just respawn on top of the Pyramid of Power, fall back into the hole, and give it another go. In this category, we never pick up the Moon Pearl. We never killed Aghanim in the Light World. So if we respawn, if we die and we respawn back in the Light World. And so, like, our best options to get back to the fight are climb Ganon's tower again and have the bird take me, or, like, get the Moon Pearl, do a Death Mountain descent, and take this really circuitous route to get back to the Pyramid of Power. So it's like a 4-minute time loss on top of however far you were into the fight. So it's probably why you don't see this category that much in marathons. It's not that marathon safe. But the last time I can remember anybody's run this was like SGDQ 2014. So I figured it deserves its place in the sun once again. And so we made our donation incentive, I believe. So I don't know if y'all need to do anything before we go on to the next run, or my next run. Guys in the back? Yeah. Sure. Just give me a heads up. Okay, I gotta reset first. Okay, same thing. We're gonna go on go. So 3, 2, 1, go. So thanks everyone for donating all that money in order to get this run in. It's a pretty short run, like I talked about earlier. I'm not going to go over the same technical details that I did about the exploration glitch before. I just kind of want to show this run off, just to show you how easy it is for you to get in to Link to the Past speedrunning. I'm going to be doing the beginner route as opposed to the world record route. The world record route, I would go to the right as I left my house and do a bootsless clip into the slope, a slope that's just east of your house. You would then walk around in the out-of-bounds world for a bit until you reach whatever cave that you were looking for to do your exploration glitch in. The reason it's so much faster is you don't have to waste time getting this sword, you don't have to do a save and quit, and in the exploration glitch map, that underworld map that I was talking about earlier, you're much closer to the sort of in-game trigger than you are here. But this route is just very, very easy to do. And I'll try to talk very specifically about what I'm doing so that if you want to give this run a shot, you can go ahead and do it. All I do, enter Hyrule Castle, go up these stairs, jump off the sledge, and while I'm in midair, I'm going to save and quit. That puts us in this like limbo state between two different layers. And that does what we call arm the exploration glitch. I haven't actually performed it yet. I'm just in a state where it can happen. While the exploration glitch is armed, I can't get hit, so I just need to make sure that while I'm in this courtyard, I don't get poked. So we're good. It's probably the hardest part of the run. From here, all I do is go up these stairs, through this door. I'm going to wait for just one moment, then walk all the way over here, get this guard's attention, walk up into this corner, and boom. Once he hits me, I've performed the exploration glitch. And I'm in the wall on the left side of the screen right now. All I'm doing is holding up till I reach the screen transition. You can kind of see me at the bottom of the screen as I went from the left side to the right side. And after I go from the left side to the right side, for the rest of the game, I'm holding one button, the up button. It just goes to show just how different these categories are just by adding in a single glitch. I'm kind of walking in this like nether realm of rooms that don't exist. This room does exist. If you fall to Ganon, this is where you would land. We just made it into the super tile where Ganon is. You're going to see him pop up in just a second. And time. So, like I said, it's a very easy category for you if you want to get into Legend of Zelda speedrunning. It's probably why it's the second most. It's either the first or second most popular category in this game, because you put maybe 2 hours or so, even if you've never played this game before. I believe you can also do that version of the route on the USA cart. So if you just have a cart sitting at home, you can just give it a try yourself. Hopefully I'm right on that. Someone will correct me in chat if I'm wrong. I do want to show, once we get to the end cutscene, just some little glitches that happen because of it. I talked about how the rain state makes things weird. Well, you're going to see that in this end cutscene. Everyone's out celebrating, and they're getting absolutely soaked by doing so. You're going to see the king, Princess Zelda, and all the maidens that I guess you rescued, just getting soaked in their Sunday best. The sanctuary is haunted now for some reason. And I could let it go and show you a lot more stuff, but that's honestly going to take longer than the actual run took. So if you want to see all the other weird stuff, as when you get to like the credits, just go ahead and fire up this run at home and give it a shot. You can definitely do this run if you put your mind to it. So that's it for me.